Just a few seconds more. And the meeting is yours, Mr. Mayor. Let me know if you need anything.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to call the regular city commission meeting of Wednesday, October 14th, 2020 to order and ask all of you to rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
States of America
and
and
to the
republic
republic
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty
with
and justice for all.
justice for all.
Thank you very much. I'd like to have a roll call. Mayor Pro Tem Rozelle.
Present.
Commissioner Olsman.
Present.
Commissioner Jenks.
Present in Huntington Woods.
Commissioner Elder.
Present.
Mayor Paul present. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda with one adjustment? We're going to move the proclamation up to before communications.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem Rozelle.
Aye.
Commissioner Jenks.
Aye.
Commissioner Elder.
Aye.
Commissioner Olsman.
Aye.
Mayor Paul, aye. The agenda is approved. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Support.
Roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem Rozelle.
Aye.
Commissioner Elder.
Aye.
Commissioner Olsman.
Aye.
Commissioner Jenks.
Aye.
Mayor Paul, aye. The consent agenda is approved. Now we're going to move to one of those fun things we get to do every once in a while. However, before we do that, I do want to just take a moment to again apologize for the interruption in last week's scheduled city commission meeting. We have put new protocols in place to manage our remote meetings going forward. These include that public participation will be by audio only through a telephone connection. The meeting can still be viewed simultaneously on YouTube. If you would like to make a comment during public participation or at the appropriate time during the discussion of an agenda item, you will be allowed to make comments by hitting *9 on your dial pad at the time that I ask for public participation. Our meeting administrator will see that you have raised your hand. Please follow the instructions at that time. When your phone number has been recognized to speak, thank you in advance for your cooperation. Now moving on to our proclamation, I've asked Commissioner Jules Olsman to read our proclamation this evening, so I'll turn it over to you, Commissioner.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So we have a proclamation here tonight for what many people might say was one of the first, when I say first families in Huntington Woods, I mean people who have given and contributed so much to the city over the decades. And tonight we want to take a few minutes to acknowledge John Jacobs. So the proclamation that we have here tonight reads, whereas John E. Jacobs, a 45-year resident of Huntington Woods, passed away on July 1st, 2020, the Huntington Woods City Commission hereby proclaims as follows. Whereas John E. Jacobs was a dedicated, involved citizen of our city and supportive spouse to Gilda Jacobs throughout her many years of distinguished public service as City Commissioner, Oakland County Commissioner, State Representative, and State Senator. He was at all times helpful and helped support Gilda as she provided exemplary representation to our city in her public life. Whereas John E. Jacobs was a distinguished lawyer in the state of Michigan, having graduated from Wayne State University and the University of Michigan Law School. He was well liked by his colleagues at Madden, Hauser, Roth, and Heller, as well as his clients and opposing counsel. Whereas John E. Jacobs served in many leadership positions in the community, including as president of Temple Emmanuel, the Jewish Community Center, and Jewish Family Services, among many others. He was a recipient of the very distinguished 2017 William Davidson Lifetime Achievement Award presented by the Jewish Federation of Metropolitan Detroit. And I'm going to make an insert here. When the city of Huntington Woods was engaged in a prolonged legal fight with the city of Detroit over the Rackham Golf Course, which the former administration tried to sell out from underneath the city of Huntington Woods without regard to deed restrictions, knowledge, or notice. I would point out that John Jacobs led the legal team that successfully defeated the effort on the part of the city of Detroit to engage in that transaction. I just wanted to add that. Whereas John E. Jacobs is the proud father of Jessica Steinhardt and the late Rachel Jacobs, he is also the proud grandfather of Jacob Waldman and Lyle and Ruby Steinhardt. He was also a loyal and caring friend to many, too many to list here. Whereas the city of Huntington Woods recognizes the life and accomplishments of John E. Jacobs and expresses our most profound condolences to the Honorable Gilda Jacobs and members of the Jacobs family, presented at the regular city commission meeting of October 13th, today's the 14th, 2020. And the proclamation is, of course, signed by the Honorable Robert F. Paul III, Mayor of the city of Huntington Woods.
Thank you very much. And thanks to the Jacobs families for all your help in our city and everything you've done. We're proud to have you as part of ours.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just one little correction, Commissioner Olsman. He was actually a Spartan. Sorry, I didn't catch that before.
No, but
I would have
immediately
immediately noticed that. So,
Gilda,
but
Yes.
wherever he was, he made that place better than it was before. So.
I think that you might have the law school wrong. It was the University of Michigan Law School.
We'll get it fixed. Yeah.
Okay.
So can I just mention, just say one quick thing? So one, it's great seeing my grandchildren on this Zoom. So hi, kids. Our friends Barbara Rahm and Ron Davis, who actually had a gazebo erected in the Mary Kay Davis Park a number of years ago in Rachel's memory, have also donated a bench in John's memory, which will go also close by the gazebo, and it will be called the Mensch Bench in John's memory. So hopefully everybody will be able to go over and rest their weary feet there. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for everything you've done.
All right, moving on to communications. We only have one communication, and excuse me, that is in regards to our annual city audit. They are underway, and I assume they're running Tim through all the normal rigors, and everything is going good so far. County commissioner or any other elected officials? I don't know. Do we have our county commissioner with us? Again, I don't see that anyone has raised their hand. So we'll move on to public participation. This is an opportunity for the public to comment on an item that is not on the agenda. So at this time, if the public has a comment they would like to make, you would hit *9 on your keypad so that we can see that you have a comment to make.
And again, callers, if you'd like to make a comment, please press *9 on your keypad.
they must all be here on agenda items.
Seeing no hands raised at this time, Mr. Mayor?
Okay, with that, we will close public participation and move on to our first item of business, which is a matter of considering approval of the City of Huntington Woods recruitment and hiring policy. Amy, do you want to start with an introduction there?
Yeah, I would. I think it's important to understand why this item is on the agenda. And I wrote everything down because I didn't want to leave anything out. So this issue started with the recent hiring decision by the city to fill the children's librarian vacancy. And I want to go over the rationale I used to fill the position. So given the crucial role of online and virtual activities for kids during the pandemic, I believed it was important to fill Joyce Crom's position as quickly as possible to minimize any gap in programming. The library director first reached out to a part-time librarian to see if she was interested in the position, and she declined. We became aware of a former Brandon Township Library employee who worked in the youth department, so contacted her about the position. She not only was available to begin immediately, but she also had the programming experience that matched the program values supported by most of our residents. For example, she was a library liaison for the high school and middle school LGBTQ groups that met at the library. We were delighted to hear of the programming she did that recognized diverse family types, such as passing out 2 kits for Mother's Day or Father's Day for kids to create cards. She also has a potential contact for Drag Queen Storytime program if need be. At this point, I have to admit, I actually thought that the city did a good thing by filling the vacancy so quickly and eliminating any gap in programming. But since then, I've heard from residents who believe the hiring was rushed and I didn't allow enough time for other candidates to be considered to ensure the best fit for the library. While I'm confident that our new hire ticks all the boxes, and I'm happy we can provide continual programming, an alternative method that takes longer but casts a wider net of candidates is valuable as well. I look at it as both methods have their pros and cons, but I want residents to know that there was a rationale behind the decision to offer to extend the offer of employment, but I also understand the concern with moving quickly. So to that end, the city attorney has drafted this recruitment and hiring policy, which formalizes an approach to post job openings on the city website and on appropriate job boards.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, at this time, I would like to open this up to public comment. Is there anyone that would like to make a comment? Once again, if you would like to make a comment, you need to hit *9 on your dial pad.
We do have some hands raised at this time, Mr. Mayor. I'll begin calling on them. Callers with the hand raised of the last 4 digits in their phone number being 4688. Please press *6 to unmute. And again, please state your name and address for the record. Go ahead, caller.
Hi, yes, this is Ellie Mosco, and I should note that I believe there are people that are trying to call in and have not been allowed to get into this meeting. So just an FYI for the administrator. My name's Ellie Mosco. I live at 8376 Huntington Road. And I wanted to come and speak about this issue today. I appreciate the fact that the city is now finally taking up this idea that I don't know why it never existed in the first place as far as having hiring practices and guidelines. You know, a couple things come to mind. One is, you know, the concern about avoiding a gap, and I understand and recognize that. My child was put into a position where she had a complete gap in education for 6 months, and the city did nothing about it with the Preschool Preschool Program, allowing the children to have any sort of education through that. That's neither here nor there. That's another situation. But that said, you know, there's no reason that the city couldn't have created an interim position, which would have been a responsible solution. The city had not, and still to my knowledge, has not officially announced to our community that Ms. Joyce, who is a beloved employee for the city, has left the program. It seems to me we're a small city, we're pretty close knit. It would be very kind to say thank you and let the community know that when members of our staff are leaving our community or and programs. And that still, to my knowledge, has yet to been taken care of and be addressed. With that said, no one had the opportunity to even apply. So, you know, I know we're saying that we didn't open up for enough people to apply. People didn't even know about it. So we could have had qualified candidates come in. We could have cast a more diverse net in which people could apply, and we're not just cherry picking individuals, which in a lot of ways, I know we haven't touched the next agenda item dealing with our anti-racism policy, but how do we show ourselves to be a community that's accepting and open to people to come into our community without opening our doors and welcoming people and inviting people to come apply for positions? If we're just picking who we want to pick, how do we avoid implicit bias and other issues that could come up? I'm just incredibly concerned that this was thought to be good judgment, and that the fact that there was no policy in place in the first place is really alarming. And I feel as though there's a lack of oversight over this matter. I think that this was handled very poorly. I think that it's still not being handled well, with the fact that Ms. Joyce has yet to be publicly officially recognized by the city for her contributions. And just overall, I'm very disappointed in how this has been handled.
Okay, thank you for your comments.
Okay, going on to the next caller. Caller with the last 4 digits of 7007. Please press *6 on your keypad, and then again, state your name and address for the record. Go ahead, caller.
Hi, my name is Bree Stocker Smart. Again, I appreciate that there is new policy being put into action. I appreciate the commissioners that have taken the time to create that, but it doesn't address the initial concern in that we don't know that we have the best person in the role. And I think the best thing I can do is read you my email that I sent when I found out that this was happening. And it's similar to what the last commenter said, but as we know, our youth librarian, Joyce Crum, has resigned. Joyce has been a huge asset to our community. She helped create diverse and inclusive programming that was rich and engaging for our children. She leaves very big shoes to fill. With Joyce leaving, that has left a job opening in the library, yet the job was never posted anywhere. At this point, I pointed out that I know actually librarians who could have been a great fit for the role, but I learned that the role had been filled, and even though it had never been posted. So here's my main concern. I'm wondering how we're supposed to fill a role with the best candidate when no one knew to apply. How can we ensure that we have the candidate who is most aligned with our community's values? How can we be sure that we have the best candidate to keep moving our youth library programming in the direction Ms. Joyce had worked so hard to create? How can we be sure we have the best candidate to push our youth programming even further? I've seen a few drafts of the anti-racism plan. In that plan, it is clear that the library will be playing an important role in helping our community to try and become anti-racist. I want to be sure that our youth librarian values that goal, that he or she is excited about incorporating social justice into our community, that he or she is passionate about making our kids kinder, more empathetic, more conscious about race issues and LGBTQ issues. I want to be sure we're teaching our kids inclusiveness. I hope that there's time to review additional candidates, as we want the best person for the job, not the one that is the easiest. I hope that we're not in the habit of just interviewing one person for a role. That says to me we are taking the easiest, least resistant path, the path that will continue to ensure that our staff remains uniformly white. This honestly does not sit well with me for so many reasons. And I'm afraid there are many other folks in the community who would feel the same way if they knew. I wonder how they would feel knowing that publicly we're trying to sell our community as inclusive and diverse, yet we didn't even review one minority resume for a city job. And that's all at this time.
Thank you.
Okay, continuing on here. Let's see, caller with the last 4 digits, 5180. Please press *6 on your keypad to unmute and go ahead and state your name and address for the record. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, hi, sorry. We didn't mean to actually comment on this part of the meeting, so you can move on to the next person. We want to comment later. We'll wait for that segment. Thank you.
Thank you, caller.
Any other public?
Seeing no other hands
comments?
raised at this time. Oh, we just got another hand raised here. Caller with the last 4 digits of 0806. Please press *6 on your keypad. And again, state your name and address for the record. Go ahead, caller.
Hello, my name is Melissa Ostaszewski-Purdy. I'm at 10145 Talbot. And I just wanted to thank Amy and those, Joe and some other people that I've emailed on this issue with regard to Joyce and her departure. And I am happy to see that there's change being made from this action. And I thank the group, and I'm hopeful that this will help, that we don't have this situation like the last caller said happen again, and that we are more, that we're moving forward in the right path to be more inclusive, and that hopefully our community, I'm hoping that we welcome this new librarian in to show that inclusivity. So thank you so much for taking this action.
Thank you. Are there any other comments?
Seeing no other callers at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we'll close public participation and move on to the city commission. Are there any comments from the commission?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner L.
thank you. I just wanted to say I heard from a lot of parents, very similar comments to the last 3 callers. And while I recognize that the city administration had good intentions, especially during a pandemic when children need support as much as possible. This is really important that we have this policy in place, because the practice of referral hiring is a workplace issue that we have seen across other industries. And this is a way that we can truly cast a wide net. All the reasons that the previous callers have said about trying to be a more inclusive community, taking a look at our staff. We'll see that on the next agenda item. But in addition to making sure that positions are posted publicly, this policy also has a couple of provisions about making a concerted effort to advertise, promote via professional organizations like the MML and other disciplines. So I hope that this would address some of the issues. And in addition to that, on the next agenda item, just training for our staff and those involved with hiring decisions so that they are better informed about diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace. So I really appreciate all of the residents that reached out and help educate me about their concerns. And I do really want to also say that we are excited about this new librarian. I think she has shown that she has had a history of programs that can help support diversity and inclusion. And I look forward to learning more about her and seeing more programs be executed through the library as we've outlined in the anti-racism plan. And I really welcome Tanya to our community. So with that, I obviously support and thank those on the commission who worked with me to write this policy.
Mr. Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem Rozelle.
Thank you. I also heard from quite a few residents on this issue, and I certainly appreciate them reaching out, and I appreciate their passion and their concern. As a commission, by charter, we only are responsible directly for hiring the city manager and our public safety director, but we do have responsibility to establish policy, policy as it pertains to not just the budget, but how the city operates. And then our city manager and our department heads will follow that policy in their day-to-day operations and managing the city. And so I think that this policy is important so that we know what the future expectations will be for hiring. I think it sets the established minimums of not just our city website, but it was important to me that it also be on the Michigan Municipal League's website, which is where a lot of municipal candidates go to look for openings. We set a minimum of 1 week for transparency, but certainly for certain positions, I recognize that staff will be posting that for longer, even doing things like, open until filled, so that we can ensure an adequate and a diverse application pool of candidates. And so I think that this is important, and I think it's a good step. And I support it. I think we want to cast a wide net because the taxpayers in our community deserve the most qualified people in the various positions in our city government, and this will give us an opportunity to find those people, wherever they are. So I support the policy, and I again thank the residents that reached out to me and shared their concerns. Thank you.
Any other comments? Commissioner Jenks?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'm pleased with the recruitment and hiring policy as it relates to goals. I believe the minimum of 1 week completely destroys the concept. If we want to put out a wide net, and if we realize now that the impact of COVID-19 is a huge pool of skilled people without jobs, I would like to see that this says a minimum of 3 weeks for jobs paying $25,000 or more, and a minimum of 1 week for jobs paying less than that amount. I don't believe that 1 week minimum with no idea as to how long. Obviously, if it's not filled, you leave it open. But, and there also is a clause in there in emergency cases as determined solely by the discretion of the city manager. The city manager may override this policy provision and approve a shorter time frame. And that's already in there. But I would like to see 3 weeks on jobs paying a minimum of $25,000.
All right, any other comments?
Mr. Mayor, I support the policy as proposed. I think it's a good step forward, and I give Commissioner Elder a lot of credit for jumping on the issue and spending a lot of time and effort on it. She deserves a lot of credit here.
Okay, very good point with that. I'll call for the vote. Mayor Pro Tem Rozelle?
Aye.
Commissioner Elder?
Aye.
Commissioner Jenks?
Nay.
Commissioner Olsman?
Aye.
Mayor Paul? Aye. Motion carries. And we'll move on to item number 2, which is a matter of consideration to adopt the City of Huntington Woods anti-racism plan. Amy, would you like to start on this?
Yes, this is a plan that has come together since the initial statement was put out by the City Commission after the death of George Floyd in early June. And it has been a very collaborative effort between Commissioner Elder, staff, department heads have contributed to it. And then a very dedicated group of residents has taken a look at the draft plans, made suggestions, we've made edits, and I'm really happy with how comprehensive it is, and also that I believe it's doable, which I think is important. And the way I describe the plan is, you know, we're talking the talk, but we put the policy out, the statement out on June 2nd, but this is our chance to walk the walk at the same time. So we intend it to be a living document that we can check things off when they have been completed and add things to the list as we become aware of different opportunities we have to push this agenda. And my intention is similar to the personnel manual, is to bring this back to the City Commission once a year and go over what we have accomplished, what's been added, what's been modified, et cetera. So this would be the jumping off point, and we would implement as many things as we can, and then come back within a year with a status report on the things that we were able to accomplish. And a lot of credit to Commissioner Elder for pushing this forward, for working with the residents and making it actually happen and not just be an empty statement.
Okay. I'm going to move to public comment at this time. If anyone has a comment they would like to make, remember to please hit *9.
Okay, we do have a caller, Mr. Mayor. The caller with the last 4 digits of 6014. Please press *6 on your keypad, and then again, state your name and address for the record. Go ahead, caller.
Hello, my name is Karen Nanos. My address is 25812 Salem. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Earlier in your meeting, the event at the last commission meeting on October 6th was described as an interruption. I'm concerned about that because the interruption was racist. And I feel that it's quite ironic that while you are talking about an anti-racist plan, that you're minimizing what happened on October 6th. And I wonder why people in our community don't know about what happened. Someone's life was threatened. That's not an interruption. And I'm wondering which people on the City Commission have reached out to the individuals who were assaulted during your meeting. And I'm wondering why our community is hiding what happened. Thank you.
Okay, caller with the last 4 digits 1019. Please press *6 on your keypad. And then again, state your name and address for the record. Go ahead, caller.
Hi, my name is Kevin Whitty, and my address is 25844 Salem Road. So I've got quite a few things to say, so I'll try and keep it within the 3-minute limit. It's been a pleasure to work with Michelle Edler on putting together this anti-racism plan. She has worked tirelessly for the last few months to get something which I think gives this city an opportunity to make a change. Because quite frankly, as a resident here, over the last 6 weeks, I'd probably say I have received 4 racist incidents, and I'm not a white person, as you commissioners know. In fact, I was targeted at that meeting last week, and I can only say that Amy and Michelle were the only ones to reach out to me. Interestingly, the male white commissioners failed to do so. And if this is a community, then shouldn't we be looking after our own? With all this said, I've chosen to leave the country. The trigger was racist incidents that happened in our community. The only other person to reach out after last week was the black policeman I met once for 2 minutes in the alligator park. So I think this community has a lot of work to do. As I've always said, I've loved this community and my time here, but there is a racist undercurrent. It's not overt always, but it exists because we continue to allow things to happen and systemic racism to continue in this community, and it's time for a change. You commissioners, all of you, need to take a genuine lead and not just be a, yes, I approve this plan and then don't do anything. You need to show leadership, because that's why you were voted in, to help future generations have a better time of being here. One of the incidents, or 2 of the incidents actually happened, was with my son. I'm a mixed race family. I don't want him to have to experience that, and genuinely, you owe a duty of care to your residents, and so you have to take a genuine leadership role in pushing this plan forward. And that's not to say that this is a perfect plan. It may not be, but as Amy said, it is a working document, and it will need to be reviewed. And you need to hold both the city and yourselves accountable to ensuring that it's pushed through to ultimately what is the bones of a fantastic community, a welcoming and inclusive place to live. But for people like me, that's all.
Okay. And the next caller here, caller with the last 4 digits of 7007. Please press *6 on your keypad. And then again, please state your name and address for the record. Go ahead, caller.
Hi, this is Bree Stocker Smart again. I think I failed to mention my address last time. It's 13101 Balfour, and that is in Huntington Woods. I wanted to comment on this. I have been talking to Michelle for since she has been put on the commission, about our community and how homogenous it is, and how uncomfortable it is for people who aren't white, and to see how far she has been able to move the anti-racism plan, and to see how much work she has done has been amazing. And I have nothing but good things to say about her, and I'd like to thank her for all of that work she has put in, because I think that it is a lot and it's hard. So thank you, Michelle. I also would like to comment to Kevin. If nobody else has apologized besides Michelle and Amy, I am sorry that you have experienced this kind of behavior in our neighborhood. And it is not, sadly, it is not just happening to you. It is all of the members of our community who are people of color. And that's why I wanted to comment on the importance of the anti-racism plan. There was actually an incident where a paid employee of Huntington Woods, our communications specialist, who would be hired by Huntington Woods, someone who's a specialist in communicating, said a racist stereotype to a woman of color in our community. And I was outraged, as were numerous other people. I want to apologize to that woman, because I don't know if anyone has. She was absolutely treated unfairly based on the color of her skin. by a paid member of Huntington Woods. And I sure hope that that woman was fired or will no longer, I think she's a contract worker, so I hope that she will no longer be receiving jobs through our community. And if she does, I have a real big problem with that. The outcome of this whole communication was that numerous people of color who are citizens in Huntington Woods expressed how they do not feel welcome here. They do not feel like they belong. They said that they would not recommend moving to this city to other people of color. They said that they want to move because of how they are made to feel. And again, this is so upsetting, to say the least. It's embarrassing. It's crazy that it is 2020 and this is how our community is, a community that prides themselves on progressive behavior and natures, and it's astonishing. So as our leaders, I think it's time to do something to remedy this, and I think that the anti-racism plan is a great first step. I don't know if it's enough. I really, really want to ask the community and our leaders to push further and to keep pushing. The systemic racism in the city is evident from referral hiring. I'll say that again, referral hiring, paid staff using racist stereotypes, anti-busing, anti-school of choice, lack of mixed use and low-income housing, staff and elected officials being almost all white and almost all white men. The time for change is now. If you want this city to be a progressive place, the place where progressive people want to live, things need to change. White fragility and status quo will need to be shaken, and you all need to be okay with that. We must be willing to change and be uncomfortable. And as leaders, it is up to you to push us in the right direction. So this is a great first step. Amy said that this will be reviewed annually. I don't know if that's enough. I think that we need to continue to push, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
And we have another caller here, Mr. Mayor. Looks like the caller with the last four digits of 5180. Go ahead and press star 6 on your phone, caller, and please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Jessica Downey, and I live at 13160 Kingston. Our concerns have some play into the anti-racist plan for the city, and it goes deeper than that. We also want to talk about Val Jones Park. We live adjacent to it. We have personally experienced racist remarks, people yelling and screaming, racially charged verbiage, and have witnessed graffiti in the park itself. There was an instance of a swastika being spray painted in the skating rink a few years ago. There was there's been a multitude of things that have happened there that are racially charged that I think should have some more attention brought to them. I know there was an incident at Burton Park this week with some anti-Semitic graffiti on park property, and I believe the attention to that was swift, and people were very upset about it, and it was handled in a way that I would expect it to be handled in a city. We have been complaining about issues like this at Val Jones Park for going on probably 3 years now and have not had any resolution to these problems. This is in addition to other problems with the park, including noise pollution, loitering on our property. We have picked up a multitude of things on our property, including drug paraphernalia, glass, condom wrappers, every kind of food wrapper you can imagine. The inside of the skate park is littered with graffiti. The inside of the porta-john is littered with graffiti. The picnic tables are littered with graffiti, all with expletives, anti-LGBTQ plus slang, just a litany of things. And we just feel that this problem has not been addressed in a timely manner. We have met with the Parks and Rec Board 2 weeks ago. We have sent emails to all the commissioners, city leaders, and to the mayor and the city manager. And while we have had communication with the city manager, the park remains open and the problems still persist. And we just think it needs some significant attention, because it's not fair to the surrounding neighborhoods, nor to the people who respectfully use the park. And it should be a safe and clean environment for all who use it.
There's been talk that, these are kids, how dare we try and take away something that kids use. The vast majority of people who frequent this park are not kids. They are late teens and up. And these are problems that have been going on for a long time. Like my wife said, there's anti-Semitic, there's anti-LGBTQ. It runs the gamut. And if we're talking about being an inclusive town, absolutely, we want people to feel welcome here. But the people that frequent that park obviously are definitely not making, are not living by that. They're saying things and writing things that totally go against what everybody's talking about right now. And there hasn't been anything done about it. We're not talking about closing the park for good. We are, however, something needs to be done to curb this in the interim until we figure out what to do long term to rectify this. People who live around that park have been dealing with this for a long time. You have children, you have so many young new residents with children, and it's a disturbing issue. I would like to think that it's not residents that are doing this, but it's
anybody's capable.
Anybody's capable of anything, but it's disturbing. It's not a good place for families to go. The city removed a swing set for that very reason. It's not a family-friendly environment, and we'd like to see something done about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have another caller here. Caller with the last four digits, 6014. Please press *6 on your keypad, caller. And again, please state your name and address for the record. Go ahead, caller.
Hi, it's Karen Nanos again from 25812 Salem. I am wondering, this is a very simple idea, but where is the comment from our commission, from the mayor, from you, that clearly states that this is not acceptable? When a racist event is described as an interruption or a technical difficulty on our city's website, it doesn't represent that you care at all. There has to be a very, very strong statement made that this is unacceptable. What are you afraid of? I'm embarrassed that you're not taking a stronger stance. What happened at that city commission meeting was scary. And the way it was described, people don't even know what happened. Why? You should tell people what happened, and you should say we don't accept it here. I wish you would do that. When are you going to do that, Mayor Bob Paul? When are you going to do it? City commissioners, stand up and say something really strong. This isn't acceptable. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
And we do have another caller here, Mayor. Caller with the last four digits, 2767. Please press *6 on your keypad. And then again, please state your name and address for the record. Go ahead, caller.
Claire Galed, 10084 LaSalle. First, I feel extremely lucky that I tried to enter the commission meeting last Tuesday late and was not subject to the apparently vile comments and language you heard. Perhaps this is further evidence that we need a well thought out and comprehensive anti-racism plan. It is not sufficient to say we will just produce a document and look at it as a work in progress. A wise person once said to me, if you don't have time to do it right, how will you have time to do it over? You all should be in receipt of extensive comments that I forwarded to the city manager after reviewing this most recent anti-racism plan. It is unfortunate that the public had so little time to comment. While I hope that you were able to review my written comments and I will not deal with much of the plan, I do wish to highlight here for the public 2 points, beginning with the matter of the storage of SWAT vehicles. In the initial outrage and action by the commission, the public was led to believe, as I initially surmised, that the county had arbitrarily decided that Huntington Woods would be a good place to store its vehicles. I later found out through an article in the Oakland Press and a search of the county website that Huntington Woods is, in fact, part of the county SWAT team. So the county request had been made to a county SWAT team community, something that was never mentioned to the public. Simply prohibiting the storage of vehicles, quote, to eliminate the optics of a militarized public safety, unquote, is hardly sufficient. When asked why Huntington Woods would not ban the storage of all military equipment in a Huntington Woods facility, one of our commissioners replied to me, "We are committed to prohibiting storing military vehicles, period." To me, this implies one of two things. Either our commission feels that the storage of militarized materials, as long as they are stored out of view, is appropriate, or we are already storing military equipment and we do not want to tell the county to remove it. As a resident, I want to know that if asked to store or currently storing SWAT equipment in a city facility, the city will simply say no. I would suggest that this item read that even though Huntington Woods is part of the county SWAT team, Huntington Woods will not be a depository for military materials of any kind, including but not limited to military vehicles. Perhaps the discussion of our involvement in the county SWAT team should also be incorporated into our anti-racism plan. I would further ask that a review of possible racial bias within our public safety department be specifically included in any anti-racism plan. I find it interesting that scrutiny of public safety is minimal in this plan when the real focus of systematic racism right now in this country is the intersection of minorities with police. We need to be asking these questions here and now, including a review of all statistics, outcomes, and policies related to contact between public safety and minorities. I have heard too often the comment, "Don't drive black in Huntington Woods." If we are not willing to publicly address these issues as part of our anti-racism plan, then the plan is simply window dressing. Thank you.
And we have another caller here. Caller with the last four digits, 3138. Please press *6 on your keypad. And then again, please state your name and address for the record. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, caller. Caller, you're open to make your comments.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my name's Danielle McGuire. I'm at 10515 Talbot Avenue. And I just wanted to call to express my gratitude to Michelle Elder and everyone who worked on this anti-racism plan. I had a number of conversations with Michelle over the course of the summer and with other people, and it took real courage and I think real vulnerability to lean into a lot of the questions that were asked this summer and thoughtful ideas for moving forward and for trying to solve these long-standing and systemic problems in our society. Huntington Woods is not immune to those problems just because we're a largely progressive community. So I wanted to thank Michelle Elder for all of her hard work, for all of the people, especially those members of the community who are of color, who stepped out and spoke about their experiences in our neighborhood and the ways in which they are at sometimes invisible or sometimes hyper visible. The way people ask them if they live in this neighborhood when they encounter them at parks, the way they are looked at as maybe they're not members of the community, and the way that they're treated online and in person sometimes. And so I think that took real courage on their part to trust Michelle and other people working on this committee to share their experiences, and I thank them for that. And I hope we can all work together as a community to lean into these conversations, to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and to build a better community. It takes us all, and we can do it if we all work together. And so I think this is a great step forward. It's a first step. It's a document that can be built upon, and I am in favor of it. Thanks.
Thank you.
And seeing no other hands raised at this time, Mr. Mayor.
All right, we'll close public participation and move on to comments from the city commission.
Mr. Mayor, I think we needed
Any
to have a
commissioner?
movement. I don't think we moved.
Yeah, there was no motion made, Mayor.
Oops. Okay. You're right. I do not have that marked down. So do we have a motion to adopt the Huntington Woods anti-racism plan?
So moved.
Second.
Support.
Sorry for that. Any public or any commissioner comments?
So, Mr. Mayor, if I may. Okay. First, I'd like to thank the mayor, Commissioner Olsman, Commissioner Roselle, Commissioner Jenks for their support. This has not been an easy process, and I couldn't have done it without their consultation, their support, and their leadership in allowing the space to share the space with me and a lot of the residents, especially Black, Indigenous, and people of color, who contributed so many hours of their time, so many stories, suggestions, input. This plan is their plan. This plan is our plan. And it could not have been done without all of your support. And Amy Sullivan, we've gone through this learning process together and will continue to, and I appreciate how humble you've been throughout this process. And this is truly the blood, sweat, and tears of a lot of us who are not white in this community. Just a brief, thought on this plan. we made a commitment to Huntington Woods after the horrific, violent deaths of too many Black people, especially this year. And it is because of that commitment that we moved onto this framework. And I just love the input that we received because it allowed us to arrive at these three very basic, but I think long-term approaches that will lead to a more diverse, equitable, inclusive community where people of color can feel like they belong here. This commitment to continuous learning and examining ourselves, to implement actions or adjust policy when we learn and understand what impacts racism, and then also measuring and evaluating those actions so that we hold ourselves accountable. Those are not my ideas. Those were the ideas put together by what I call the working group of people who live here, who experience racism on a daily basis, and for those people with the technical expertise that were willing to lend us a hand and their time in creating this plan. And I think, the staff of our city also played a role in this, and I want to thank them for being vulnerable and looking internally about how they can do this. I'm not going to spend any more time going through the plan itself because it is so long. But I will say that I am just very appreciative of this opportunity to be able to work on something that I feel is comprehensive and meaningful. And one of, I think Jules Olsman, I think you said to me when we first talked about this idea that you wanted something meaningful, that is not just, let's do this so that it sounds good, or, it was really Jules who made me get uncomfortable and look at the policies and look at these action items. So I guess, obviously I support this plan and hope that the rest of the commission does as well, and just wanted to take the time to recognize them and thank them for their support.
Mr. Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem Rozell.
Thank you. First, Mr. Withane, I want to apologize. I know you, I've met you, and I was not aware at that meeting that your life was threatened. In the chaos of the meeting, I didn't hear it. I did mute my audio to contact our city manager to suggest she clear the room so that we could get these folks out who were just causing a completely vile and unacceptable disturbance. And so I missed it. And so I apologize deeply that happened to you. And had I heard it, I would have reached out to personally apologize. I want to thank those who worked on the plan and for all of their efforts and their input. I appreciate Claire's comments with regard to the SWAT vehicle. When I reached out and spoke with the undersheriff directly regarding that as to why we would have appeared in an article as a location for the hosting of a SWAT vehicle, the undersheriff told me that it was because of our proximity in the county and us being near I-75 and 696 and in the south end of the county. It didn't have anything to do with us participating in SWAT or any other, we don't store any other vehicles for the county or any other equipment for the county whatsoever here. So it had nothing to do with either one of those things. It was just an off-the-cuff comment that the undersheriff made based on our location. It wasn't based on any request from anyone in this community or any prior relationship with the sheriff's office. And I made it clear to him, find somewhere else to put your SWAT vehicle. It's not coming here. So that is how that whole reference to Huntington Woods came up. It was an off-the-cuff comment based on our geographic location. I've talked with our public safety director about our participation in SWAT. He feels that because we have an elementary school here, there's an immense amount of valuable training that takes place, so that if, heaven forbid, there ever was an incident at Burton, that we have individuals who are trained in active shooter and in these various situations that unfortunately have become almost a regular part of today's society. And that's completely unacceptable, but it's a reality that our public safety director feels that we need to train for. And so I also have had, I've received emails in my tenure as a commissioner from residents regarding our police department's interactions with residents, and are we targeting, people of color, and we, because of our participation and our certification through CALIA, are evaluated by an outside group of individuals. And I was surprised that not only do we look at overall numbers, but they actually examine individual officers and the race of that officer and the race of the individual they're ticketing, to see if individual officers are targeting individual groups of individuals. And so none of these outside agency reviews, have identified that, but I'm glad that this is a metric that has been examined and is currently being examined and will continue to be examined by our department. I think it is so important that we don't target anyone in this community. And so I applaud this plan, and I do think that it does need to be regularly looked at. And I think too, the component where I work for county government, and we've gone through a number of programs with county employees, regarding anti-racism and understanding people who are different than you and recognizing the value that they bring. And so I'm glad that we're now looking at programs like this here in our city for our employees as well. I think this is very important. And so I appreciate everyone. I appreciate Commissioner Elder championing this issue, and pleased that we're moving it forward. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Jenks.
Yes, I think this is broadly written. I think it's constructive, and yet I really didn't see, and I hope these end up in this document later on along as we progress. I didn't see measurable goals and timetables as it related to hires and as it related to contracts with minority vendors. The other thing that bothered me a little bit is it's got a final goal of 2022, and we're now in 2020. I would hope that by the end of 2021, we could reach some conclusions rather than dragging it out. But it's nicely done. It's broadly done. It has general goals, but I would like to, and it's got timetables in there. But I mean, I would like to see an EEO profile, a goal of what that would look like, set up by perhaps the residents that worked with you, Michelle. And I would like to see a minority contractors goal. We may already be meeting it. I just would like to see a measurable goal where we could have some bragging rights. As Joe pointed out, with CALIA, we do have bragging rights because they also look at complaints against officers and they follow up to see what the department has done. So if someone alleges discrimination, you see exactly what's been done and what are the facts. And it hasn't been a single review. It has been multiple reviews. We've been CALIA certified for many years.
Okay, any other comments?
Mr. Mayor, I would, if I could chime in briefly.
Certainly.
I support the efforts that have been made. As Bob Dylan noted many years ago, the times are changing with respect to recognition of these kinds of issues, and the admonition was don't stand in the hallway and don't block up the hall. No one here is doing that. I would point out with regard to the Zoom bombing episode at the last meeting that Zoom bombing is not unique to Huntington Woods. It's not unique to municipal meetings. Last week, there was a meeting of, as I understand it, a group of women candidates who are currently running in this cycle, and they were Zoom bombed by some pretty offensive conduct by an individual. It's a problem in dealing with the technology. Until the pandemic started, I didn't know what Zoom was, let alone Zoom bombing, but it's a problem. I heard the caller who said that we should have, addressed it more forcefully. Well, I thought I did. I spoke to Amy and I spoke to Chief Pazukowski, and I said it's a police matter, and that the FBI should also potentially be brought in on it as a result of the vile and vicious racial comments that were made in it. But I personally am not interested in giving whoever that sad sack of an individual was or group that did that any more attention than what they thought they already got. Frankly, I think the best way to deal with these kinds of people is shut them out. I don't think you gain anything by calling a lot of attention to it. Everybody agrees it's heinous and everybody agrees it's terrible. And the whole thing was terrible, but it's not something that we created or anything that we could have anticipated. We've had multiple meetings since March and there hasn't been any problem. So I think that most meaningful steps in terms of these types of policies are made incrementally. I don't think that you can, I think what I like about the plan is it does look at things in pieces and move it along in that way. There's no other way to do it. So I support the work that has been done, and Amy and Michelle deserve a lot of the credit. They've done yeoman's work here, and I am fully supportive.
Thank you. I do know that in regards to the last city commission meeting, our public safety department did start an investigation. They also brought in the Oakland County cyber division to help with that, and that is an ongoing investigation. As to the anti-racism plan, I would also like to thank our city staff that was involved, as well as many residents of the neighborhood, and a special thanks to Commissioner Elder for all of her time that she put into this. Her and I talked many times for a lot of time over the last few months about this plan. I think it is a great beginning. As our city manager said, this is a moving document. We are going to continue changing this and making improvements, and I look forward to where this takes us, not only over the next couple of years, but for the next couple decades. This is going to be something that we're always going to have to pay attention to. And I thank you very much for the beginning here. It's a great effort. So with that, We'll have a roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem Rozell,
Aye.
Commissioner Elder,
Aye.
Commissioner Jenks,
Aye.
Commissioner Olsman,
Aye.
Mayor Paul, aye. Motion carries. Item number 3 is a matter of consideration of approval of a resolution in support of the Parks ballot proposal.
There is a ballot initiative on the November 3rd, for the November 3rd election. It's actually asking residents if they want to amend the Constitution of the United States to put gas and oil reserve royalties, be able to use those not only for purchasing new recreational property, but also for investments in investing recreational opportunities in the form of grants, which is something that we have not had access to in Huntington Woods through that grant program. So this is a proposal that is supported by MParks, which is the state organization for Parks and Recreation, also went to the city's Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, who support it. And so it's before you tonight, and they're asking for you to support the constitutional amendment proposal as well.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to clarify one thing real quick. She said Constitution of the United States, but it's the state constitution.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Did I say US?
You did, yeah.
Oh.
Which we have no authority to amend as individual
wishful
citizens,
thinking.
but yeah.
All right, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Okay, is there any public comment? Once again, if you'd like to make a comment, please hit *9.
And again, one more time, callers, if you'd like to make a comment, please press *9 on your keypad. Seeing no callers at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, public participation is closed. Any comments from the commission? Commissioner Jenks.
Yeah, I support this not only because the Michigan Recreation and Parks Association does, but also the Michigan League for Conservation Voters, the Michigan Environmental Council, the Nature Conservancy, and many other environmental groups have endorsed it.
Okay, thank you. That will have a roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem Rozell.
Aye.
Commissioner Olsman.
Aye.
Commissioner Jenks.
Aye.
Commissioner Elder.
Aye.
Mayor Paul, aye. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 4, it's a matter of consideration approving the first quarter 2020-21 budget amendments.
These were budget amendments.
Mr. Mayor, I move.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Amy.
I just wanted to move. Okay.
I just was saying these are
Go ahead,
the
Amy.
budget amendments that were put together after the budget study session that we held in September.
Okay. Commissioner Jenks.
I wanted to move the resolution to approve the first quarter 2020-2021 budget amendments.
Second.
Any public comment? If you have a comment, please hit *9.
Seeing no hands raised at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we'll move on to commissioner comments. Seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem Rozell.
Aye.
Commissioner Jenks.
Aye.
Commissioner Elder,
Aye.
Commissioner Olsman,
Aye.
Mayor Paul, aye. Motion carries. Item number 5 is a matter of consideration of entering into a contract with Radiant Asphalt of Northville, Michigan for as-needed infrared concrete repairs at a price of $1.77 per square foot for a 3-year contract ending in June 30th, 2023. Amy, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, both this bid and the next bid are monies that were made available with the passage of the Public Act 345 public safety pension. We're now able to free up money to do additional maintenance on our roads. So this almost triples what we had spent last year. And then the remainder of the money that has been dedicated to roads is put aside for mill and overlay maintenance projects, which is more expensive than these the radiant heat and crack sealing. So we'll be able to do some mill and overlay probably next year in addition to the carrying on the type of projects we're doing this year.
Mayor, your voice, audio's off.
All right, thank you, Amy. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Was that a second from Commissioner Jenks?
Yes.
All right, any public comment? Once again, if you have a comment from the public, it's *9. Raise your hand. Seeing none, we'll move on to commissioner comments. Any comments from the commission? Commissioner Jenks?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that bids the bid proposal was viewed by 12 contractors. Only one bid was received, and that was from Radiant Asphalt. And Radiant Asphalt has been completing infrared asphalt repairs in the city for over 20 years.
Okay. Moving on to roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem Rozell.
Aye.
Commissioner Jenks.
Aye.
Commissioner Elder. Commissioner Olsman.
Aye.
Mayor Paul, aye. Motion carries. Item number 6 is a similar contract entering with Pavement Technology, Inc. of Westlake, Ohio for as-needed asphalt rejuvenation repairs for a 3-year contract ending June 30th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Support.
Any public comment? This would be *9 again if you would like to make a comment. Seeing none, we'll move on to commissioner comments. Commissioner Jenks.
Yeah, here, similar to the last bid, the bid proposal was viewed by 20 contractors, but only one bid was received from Pavement Technology. They've been our asphalt rejuvenation contractor for the past several years.
Okay, roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem Rozell.
Aye.
Commissioner Elder.
Aye.
Commissioner Olsman.
Aye.
Commissioner Jenks.
Aye.
Mayor Paul, aye. Motion carries. And I'll move on to item number 7, matter of consideration to approve the 2021 annual permit for work on state trunk line right of way. Amy?
If this is an annual permit required by MDOT, in case we needed to do any work in the Woodward right of way.
So moved.
Second.
Any public comment? Again, if you would like to make a comment, please hit *9.
Well, we're waiting for that. I would just note that this is a type of matter that moving forward, we can place this on the consent agenda because it's just a routine thing that we renew each year.
Good idea.
Okay. Seeing no hands raised, I'll move to commissioner comments. Roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem Roselle.
Aye.
Commissioner Jenks.
Aye.
Commissioner Olsman.
Aye.
Commissioner Elder.
Aye.
Mayor Paul, aye. Motion carried. Item number 8 is a matter of consideration of the introduction of an ordinance to amend the city code of the City of Huntington Woods, Chapter 14, Environment Article 1 in General Section 14-1, Public Nuisance, defined and prohibited to delete Section 14.4, Smoke Measurement. Amy, is this for you or for Carol?
I'll take this. We have Article 14 is our nuisance ordinance, and it regulates a number of things, blight, rats, noise. And one of the things it regulates is dense smoke. But if you read the ordinance language carefully, the dense smoke that is emanating from a stove, furnace, or boiler is all that it regulates. And yet occasionally we have residents that are not happy with their neighbors if they have campfires or chimeneas and point to this section and say, well, you regulate dense smoke, so you must regulate campfires. So what we attempted to do with this amendment is make it clear that this dense smoke portion of the nuisance ordinance only applies to like the stoves, furnaces, and boilers. Hank Berry, our code enforcement officer, tells me that primarily it's for people that heat their homes with wood or coal, which he says we have a few homes that do that. And then also made some slight modifications to the definition of a public nuisance to take some of the subjectivity out of it. So that was the intent. I know Commissioner Olsman, I think we didn't make it clear enough, so we're open to suggestions. That's why we have the first reading, but that was the intent of the amendments that are being offered.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the first reading?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any public comment? Again, if you'd like to make a comment, please hit *9 to raise your hand. Seeing none, we'll move on to commissioner comments. Any comments from the commission?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I'll just say just a couple quick things. I mean, overall, I get the idea of what it is that we're trying to do here, but I have some concerns. There's some language in here under 14.1 that talks about being offensive to public decency. I think that that's a very vague term that really, I mean, I think I know what it means, but as soon as you say, I think I know what it means, you know, it might be a problem in an ordinance. It might be something to consider eliminating those terms or finding something more synonymous that we can use that dictates a more clear direction, if you will. If somebody wants to know whether they're violating the ordinance or not, they should be able to look at it and tell exactly what it is that they're doing that's the ordinance. I also understand that this ordinance, I've talked to Mr. Berry about it, and I also understand this is not intended to regulate fire pits and things like that, and I think there should be specific language in the ordinance that says that. We do have some residents who are concerned about fire pits and are concerned about the billowing or blowing of smoke, if you will, particularly on some of the lots that are a little bit more narrow. It's a lot harder to have a fire pit, especially if the wind is blowing, that it isn't going to affect one of your neighbors. Some of them may like it, some of them may not. Most people don't like it when it's blowing into their bedroom window and things like that. Now, having said that, we don't get very many complaints about this on an annual basis. But having said that, just those 2 points, the vagueness of the term public decency, and I would recommend a specific paragraph that says this particular ordinance does not seek to regulate fire pits, or as Amy said, campfires. Other than that, it's fine.
Any other comments? All right, all those in favor? Oh, actually, roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem Roselle.
Aye.
Commissioner Elder.
Aye.
Commissioner Jenks.
Aye.
Commissioner Olsman.
Aye.
Mayor Paul, aye. Motion carries. Moving on to our city manager's report.
Yes, I have quite a few updates from the different departments. I'm going to start with the Department of Public Works. Our Deponio, the road contractors, been working really hard and been making a lot of progress. So Humber was completed yesterday. The final base is in, the base is in on Talbot, and the sprinklers are being repaired. And then Kingston is ready for the edge drain in the curb and gutter. So we have gotten 3 projects done, and we have 2 left to go. So that's been going really well. The preschool program has begun at the Recreation Center with a modified schedule and limited enrollment. Today we had a flu shot clinic. We had asked people to register for that, and we had over 90 people register, so it was sold out, and the second date was scheduled for October 28th. So if you'd like to get a flu shot at the Recreation Center and you're available on the 28th, you can call the Recreation Center and make an appointment for that. And also we do have a lot of virtual and social distancing programming planned for the fall, much like we did in the summer. That's really innovative and creative. So take a look at the Hometown Herald that is on our website, and take a look at the different programming available through both the library and the Recreation Center. Really interesting things. The steps in front of the library are under construction. So our curbside program, where you can check out books and then pick them up curbside, we're asking residents to drive to the back of the library to get the books that they've checked out while the steps are being repaired. Also, from our city clerk's office, we are encouraging anybody that wants to vote absentee to put their ballot in one of the drop boxes. We have one on the west side of City Hall that you can drive up to. We have another one in the vestibule on the east side of City Hall that's available 24/7. And we placed a new drop box at in front of the Gillum Recreation Center. And Commissioner Jenks had correctly pointed out that it's a long ballot. You need to vote both sides, and a little bit different this year is there are some nonpartisan candidates on the first side. Usually they're reserved for the second side, but make sure that you carefully read the ballot before you fill it out. And then the last item I'm really excited about, this is actually part of the anti-racism program that we adopted today. Commissioner Olsman became aware of a paper written by Nancy Welsh called Racially Restrictive Covenants in the United States, a call to action. He was able to contact her, and she's agreed to be our first speaker in what we hope is an ongoing speaker series on anti-racism issues. So a date has not been set yet. She is in Maine, so it's going to be a Zoom meeting, but as soon as we get a date set, we will promote that on all of our platforms, and people will have the opportunity to attend that and learn about racial covenants, and also about the racial covenants we actually had in some of our own deed restrictions here in Huntington Woods. So this was an issue. It was an issue here. I think it's important that people learn as much as they can about it. So be looking for information on that. And I think that's it.
All right, thank you. Any questions for the city manager? Commissioner Jenks?
When does leaf pickup start, and what's the procedure on branches?
Leaf pickup starts on Monday. It's going to go out in the e-blast that goes out this week. And chipping is been moved to Wednesdays. So if you have any brush that needs to be chipped, just put it in the right of way between the street and the sidewalk, and we'll come by and get it on Wednesdays.
Okay, any other questions?
Mr. Mayor, are we confident, Amy, that both Talbot and Kingston will be done by end of the year?
Yeah, I don't, unless there's some unforeseen circumstance with being able to get supplies like a war or the weather tanks and is terrible. Yeah, I'm very, very confident that we're going to get it done.
That's great.
By the end of the month, probably.
I know the folks on Kingston are real excited to get that work finished.
Know anybody that lives on that street?
I may know a few.
Mr. Roselle?
You just want your right of way restored.
Oh.
Okay, with that, do we have a motion to adjourn the regular city commission meeting?
So moved.
Support.
All right, roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem Roselle.
Aye.
Commissioner Olsman.
Aye.
Commissioner Jenks.
Aye.
Commissioner Elder.
Aye.
Mayor Paul, aye. The meeting is adjourned. See everybody next month.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Ken.
No problem. Glad to help.